This week, the first part of our video, we are going to do something called couching. Couching is an embroidery term for, I don't really know exactly what it means, but you're laying your threads down on the surface. So what I've done is I have found some gold lame thread, and I've gone ahead and knotted the end, and I'm just going to tie that, cut that there. And then I'm also going to use a gold lame thread to sew with, and I'm going to lay this thread down on top of the fabric, and then I'm going to come up underneath with a needle, and I'm going to sew this down to the top, and that's how I'm going to do my words for my natty panels. As much as I hate threading needles, if I could give you one piece of advice, it would be to cut a length of thread but no larger than about 18 inches. You don't want to have a yard of thread, because I promise you it is going to knot up and it's going to absolutely drive you crazy. So all I'm going to do is come up from the back of my fabric. I just want to catch, I'm just going to go back and forth. I just want to catch this cord, and it wants to pop out because it's kind of hard to get started. Also, I knotted the end, used my Secret Ninja knot. I knotted the end so it would hold it in, so that if I would accidentally pull this, I'm not going to pull it out of its little house here, okay? So I'm going to try to hold this in my hand so you can see this, and the shadows are really very complicated. All right, so here is my saber that I'm using for a needle. And I'm just going to come up on each side of this thread. And I'm going to do it in very measured and small stitches. So you see I'm on the top of it. And then I'm just going to cross over to the bottom of it. And I'm going to try to put my needle right into the line. I actually drew with a Sharpie and give it a little tug. I'm not going to pull too tight, but I'm going to pull initially a little bit tight because I'm trying to hold it down. Okay, so again, I'm coming in right at the top of where my gold cord is, bringing my needle all the way up, and then I'm just going to go back in under and try to stay right on that Sharpie line. And this is called couching. Here's my finished loyalty. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I made a couple mistakes. Be thinking about the direction that you're going to go in, because you don't want to repeat. You don't want to go over something. You only want to do it one time. So I had a couple challenges. I did not cross my T the way I should have, but I wrote it wrong, so it wasn't a sewing thing, it was a writing thing. Okay, so I'm going to do my next one, and this is an eco print that I did. This is on watercolor paper, and I sewed on a fusible interfacing so that I could attach fabric to the back of my watercolor, and it's really given it a nice sturdy foundation. And then I added a little strip of batik here because it wasn't quite wide enough. My panels are 7 by 9, and I think my watercolor paper was only 6. So because I used cochineal bugs to make this beautiful purple on my print, I thought, as a little joke to myself, I'm just going to title this panel Bugs, and that will make me smile, because the whole point of this project is something to lift you up and make you smile. So what I did first, I just want to mention, is I took a ruler and I measured out how much area that I had, and then I assigned 1.5 inches for each letter, and I just cut some little tape and put it down on my fabric so that when I drew my letters, they'd be roughly the same size and they would be equal distances apart. And I think I'll still use, I have plenty of the gold left, so I'll probably just keep going with the same thread. I went ahead and did hand couching, and I just let this tail kind of go crazy here. I thought that was kind of cool. So I am now working on my beach scene, and I'm trying to lay out my colors and my pattern. So I have a beach here. This is going to be the water. This is going to be my sunset, and this will be my sun that I'm going to hand applique onto here. And then I'm going to use this slashing technique that I was telling you guys about last week. So I'm going to layer, this had a whole bunch of layers. This has probably had about 9 layers. But honestly, I think I'm only going to do a couple of layers. So I have figured out that my water is going to be 5 inches tall. And for the first 3 inches, I want to be able to slash it and get white. And then on each side of the setting sun, I also want to have white. But in here, when I slash it, I want to have it going down like a triangle, and I want it to have this same gold in there, so it looks like the reflection on the water. I've built my sandwich, and I just kind of wanted to show you how I did that. So I know that I want this portion I had measured, that I wanted this amount with white and this amount with gold. So where I have the gold, I only have the gold. I did not put any other fabric. But where I have the white, I also added some dark blue, and I was going to put this blue on top because I know I can scratch through. I can just keep cutting through until I get to the white, and I thought that it might add some nice texture. And then I'm going to take the piece that's going to stay on the top, and I'm going to put that here, and I'm going to go ahead and leave this gold exposed a little bit so that I know when I slash, you know, where the gold actually is. And I'm going to sew. I really thought I liked it better when I had sewn farther apart. So instead of sewing small, you know, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, I'm actually going to go about 2 inches. This was the first one that I did big, and I really liked that. So maybe I'll do 1 inch, because I think I'm only doing about 3 inches. So maybe I'll do about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in between. And I'm going to sew them in, you know, wavy lines, because I think that looks really neat when you cut them. Let's see how it goes. All right, you can see that I have sewn my wavy lines. I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and just start cutting through this fabric. And I'm also going to do that in waves.